Welcome to part 2 of the CARES Regional HMIS New User Training. This is awards navigation. I apologize for this. It looks like I'm having a little bit of technical difficulty. On the agenda for this training, welcome to awards navigation. This is part 2 of the CARES Regional HMIS New User Training. On the agenda for this section, we are going to review some key terms. We're going to go over how to access the awards website, logging into and out of awards, how to record your security details. We're then going to review the navigation bar, the left side menu, awards online help, awards messages, and how to complete and send a help desk ticket. When we're in reviewing key terms, the first thing I want to talk about is universal data elements. So universal data elements are a series of data elements and responses required to be collected and entered by all projects that participate in an HMIS, regardless of their funding source. And they are project start date, name, date of birth, social security number, gender, race, ethnicity, veteran status, disabling condition, living situation. For permanent housing projects, they must collect a housing move-in date, client location, relationship to head of household, project exit date, and destination. So project start date for permanent housing projects, that's going to be the date that the client is accepted into the project, regardless of whether or not housing has been secured. For all other project types, the project start date is the date that the client is admitted into the project. Name, date of birth, and social security number. Because all of these elements are different for all persons, each has a data quality follow-up component, meaning that once you type in their name and their date of birth and their social security number, after each one of those elements, there's going to be a data quality drop down where you're going to select if this is the full information collected, partial information collected, client doesn't know, client refused, or data not collected. There are 5 options for gender. Those are female, male, trans female, which is male to female, trans male, which is female to male, or gender non-conforming, meaning not exclusively identifying as male or female. For race, there are 5 options for responses. However, clients who identify as more than one race can select all of the races that they identify as. Those are American Indian or Alaskan Native, Asian, Black or African American, Native Hawaiian or another Pacific Islander, and white. For ethnicity, there are 2 options for responses: Hispanic Latino or non-Hispanic non-Latino. Veteran status, All persons in a household over the age of 18 must indicate whether or not they are a military veteran. Upon a child's 18th birthday, this data element must be updated within the database. For disabling condition, you're going to ask, does the head of household have a disability that substantially impairs their ability to maintain stable housing without supportive services? If the answer is yes, then yes should be indicated that the client does have a disabling condition. If a project requires the collection of special needs elements, which are program-specific data elements, disabling condition is going to auto-calculate for you based on the responses to each one of those special needs. The living situation is a series of elements that were designed to identify the type of living situation and the length of stay in that situation just prior to project start. This information is used with other information to identify whether a client appears to meet the criteria for chronic homelessness. So, to meet the criteria for being chronically homeless, either one, you have to have been literally homeless for 12 months or more for the last year, and you have to have a disabling condition. Or you have to have been homeless 4 or more times within the last 3 years, and if you were to add up every month that you spent homeless within the last 3 years, that total has to equal 12 months or more, and you have to have a disabling condition. So rather than just asking a client, are you chronically homeless? HUD has made the decision that they needed to collect this series of data, and then based on the responses, have each HMIS database kind of do those calculations on the back end. Housing move-in date, like I said, is for permanent housing projects only. This does include rapid rehousing, since rapid rehousing is a permanent housing project. This is the date that the client moves into permanent housing. So like I had said previously, for project start date for permanent housing programs, that's the date that the client is accepted into the program, even if they haven't secured housing yet. So then we then need to record when the client does secure housing, and we need to enter that date. And it's typical, that date will typically be later than the project start date, but they could be the same. What HUD wants to look at is how long typically is it taking clients to be housed once they're accepted into a permanent housing project. This is a brand new data element for this year. Came out in October of 2017, and I was actually really psyched about it. This for 2 reasons. Number one, having a project start date for a permanent housing project allows the users to be able to record all of that work that they do with the client before they secure housing. Prior to October 1st, in order to do that, users would have to fill out a multi-step admission, and so it was just one more thing that they had to do, and we had to find workarounds for how to report out on certain things. This allows all reporting to be done just as it would with any other project, and not having to use that multi-step admission process, and still being able to record on and report out all of the work that's done with a client before they move into housing. Number two, I think that this is going to show the need for more affordable housing. Why is it taking so long to house a family of 4, of 5, of 6? Why are they, have they been in this program for so long before securing housing? The answer to that is because there is a lack of affordable housing, and families do stay in shelter longer while staff is trying to secure housing for them. Client location is meant to link client household data to the relevant continuum of care in which the client is served. For projects that serve more than one continuum of care, and we do have quite a few projects that serve more than one continuum, having the client location is necessary for accurate reporting. So client location is a data element that is set up on the back end by us at CARES when we create the project within the database for you. For residential projects, the client location is linked to the residence unit in which the client is placed. And for non-residential projects, there's a drop-down box that says client location. All of the continuums that your project serves, whether it's just one continuum or multiple continuums, you then are going to select the appropriate continuum in which that client is being served from that drop-down menu. Relationship to head of household is used to identify the one person to whom all other household members can be linked to at the time of project start. This allows us to identify and calculate the number of households that are being served, as well as facilitates reporting on household composition. So we can report on the number of individuals that are served versus the number of family households that are served. We can also break it down further to report on that household composition. How many 2-person households were served? How many 4-person households were served? How many 12-person households were served? In order for awards to generate this information, all household members, regardless of whether or not they're receiving any actual services, must have an admission processed into awards. That's the only way we can report on it. Awards, as with pretty much any database, you can only report out on the data that's put in. Project exit date is the date that the client is discharged from the project. And then destination. We use destination to identify where a client will stay just after project exit for purposes of tracking and client outcome measurement. There are 4 types of destination categories: permanent destinations, temporary destinations, institutional destinations, and kind of a lump category of other destinations. Some helpful tips when selecting the client's destination when they're being discharged is the option that you're selecting, the actual destination, is where the client is staying, not the reason why. So there is the option within awards to select other as a destination. At CARES, we beg that users never select other as a destination option. Number one, it's impossible to report on. It's just going to say, this is the number of clients that were discharged to other destination, but we can't get down to that level as to what was typed in for other. When you select other as a discharge destination, you have to type in where the client is being discharged to. A lot of what happens is that a user will select other, and in the text field, they will type client moved in with girlfriend, or client went to live with their parents. Client was discharged from program for not complying with the rules. That's an example of why the client was discharged, not where they were discharged to. So the response option selection list is very extensive, and 99.999% of these options will at least closely match the client's actual destination. And HUD's rationale within the data elements that they publish each year, the Data Standards Manual, even states to select the response option that most closely matches their actual destination. We're now going to move into the program-specific data elements. These are specific to your program funding source. First, we're going to review the series of program-specific data elements known as the common data elements. So when we talk about common data elements, we are talking about things such as income information, non-cash benefits, health insurance, the disability elements, otherwise known as special needs, domestic violence. Your program may be required to collect all of these program-specific data elements, or you only may be required to collect some of them. For our runaway homeless youth projects, PATH projects, SSVF projects, and HOPWA projects, in addition to these common data elements, there are additional data elements specific to those funding types that are required to be collected. We are not going to review those in this section of the training. We will go over when you move on to the data entry demonstration video. For income and sources, you're going to indicate whether households are accessing all income and sources for which they are eligible at the time of project start, and to allow for analyzing changes in the composition of income at annual assessment and discharge. This information is not collected for minor household members. So any income, SSI, or child support that is meant for the children is recorded in the head of households record. Non-cash benefits, things like SNAP, WIC, or TANF, it's collected to determine whether households are accessing all mainstream program benefits for which they are eligible at the time of project start, and to, again, allow for analyzing the changes at annual assessment and discharge. Again, this data is not collected for minor household members. Then we move on to health insurance information. Health insurance information is collected to determine whether clients are accessing all the mainstream medical assistance benefits for which they may be eligible. This allows us to ascertain a more complete picture of changes to the economic circumstances between project start, annual assessment, and project exit. If a client has health insurance, you're going to indicate yes or no, and then you're going to identify the type of health insurance that the client has, whether it's Medicaid, Medicare, insurance through the VA, things like that. And I apologize right now, I am recording this video from home, and you can hear my dog barking in the background. She is currently barking at nothing. Then they move on to these disability elements, or as they're known within the database, special needs. Those consist of physical disability, developmental disability, chronic health condition, HIV and AIDS, mental health problem, and substance abuse. So in this section, you're going to indicate whether clients have any disabling special needs which contribute to their experience of homelessness or may be a factor in obtaining housing. Important to note, this information is recorded in the admission record only. Any updates to this information, so if a client is diagnosed with one of these special needs conditions after being admitted into the project, that information is always and only updated in the client's admission record. This is the one and only data element that, if it needs to be updated, is updated in the admission record. Domestic violence, you're going to indicate whether the client is a survivor of domestic violence and if they are currently fleeing a domestic violence situation. This allows to provide the appropriate services to prevent further abuse, to treat the physical and psychological injuries from prior abuse. It ensures the safety of project staff as well as other clients, and it's critical for determining the resources that are needed to address domestic violence. Required elements. We talked about universal data elements. Those are the data elements that are required of all programs that enter data into an HMIS database. We also talked about the program-specific common data elements that can be collected by different programs based on funding source. Within the database, within every module of the database, all required data elements and fields are indicated with a red asterisk. Awards does not allow a section to be processed if any required data element is left blank. Funding-based reporting looks at the percentage of missing and null responses. Those responses include client doesn't know, client refused, and data not collected. Or when discharging a client, they're looking at no exit interview completed. The HMIS team at CARES distributes monthly reporting on our website where we report on data quality and data completeness at the community level and project level. They are published on the 5th of the month, so you can always go to our website to view those reports. The reports that we put out on data completeness and data quality, what we're looking at in those reports is we are looking to see that all universal data elements have a response recorded. We're looking to see that there's no blank information. We're looking at the percentage of responses that indicate client doesn't know, client refused, or data not collected. So client doesn't know means that the person performing the intake asked the information, but the client doesn't know the information. Client refused means that the information was asked, but the client refuses to provide that information. And data not collected means the intake staff did not ask for the required information. When we look at data quality, we're looking to make sure that the required universal data elements have a recorded response that is indicative of the project type. So for example, type of residence, which is located within the living information data. So when we look at the type of residence prior to program entry, it should not be rental by client if this client is being admitted into a permanent supportive housing project. So that's what I'm talking about when I say we're looking to make sure that the responses kind of make sense for the funding type and the type of project that they're being entered into. We're looking to make sure that clients that are enrolled in COC funded permanent supportive projects for more than 365 days have their required annual assessment completed. So for any continuum funded project, permanent supportive housing, transitional housing, actually COC funded outreach as well, any client that is enrolled in a project for 365 days or more must have an assessment completed on an annual basis. However, that annual basis is a very specific time frame. So an annual assessment has to be completed and recorded within the database within 30 days prior to 30 days post the anniversary date of a client's admission into the program. We're looking at the average length of stay for emergency shelter projects, and we're also looking to make sure that all data entry is being completed within the 10-day time frame. So what we're going to do now is we are going to move into how to navigate into awards. So what I'm going to do is I am going to open a new window, and I'm going to go to the awards website. That address is cares.footholdtechnology.com, and that is going to bring me to the awards login page. I'm just going to delete this information because I'm not going to sign into my normal awards login that I use as a system administrator. I'm going to log in as a training user, just so that way there's no potential for actual client level information being accidentally exposed. So when you're going to log into the awards database, this is what the website looks like. This is the login page. If you land on a website that does not look like this, you are not in the right spot. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to enter my username. Upon completion of the entire training series and once all of the required paperwork is sent to me, when I send you that email that says, congratulations on completing the new user series. Here is your login information. I'm going to give you your login name, which is typically your first initial followed by your last name. That can vary if we do have people that has the same first initial and last name. We may have to change it up a little bit. Or if you are a user that has multiple logins, we do have some users, maybe they work at 2 different agencies, so they may have multiple logins. So you're going to enter your username, and then for your initial login, you're going to log in with the default password of CARES1234. That is the default password that we use when we set up clients or set up users to begin doing data entry. That's the same password that we use if we ever have to reset your password for you. We always use the CARES1234 password. We do not send that password through regular email. So if you email us and say, I forgot my password, can you reset it for me? Or if you email us and say, I haven't logged in more than 30 days and my account has been deactivated, can you please reactivate it for me? We're going to reply to your email and we're going to say, here's your username. Please log in with the default password. Please don't ask us what the default password is through email because we cannot send that information to you. Once we review the awards navigation, I am going to show you our website where we do have paper versions of intakes and the client inclusion disclosure, as well as the data sharing, release of information. But we also have a user resource guide, which is step-by-step instructions on the basic data entry that's performed within the database. But within that user guide does have the web address as well as the default password. It's located right in that user guide. So if you want to print it and keep it, it's I think it's 17 total pages. So I think it prints out. If you're able to print double-sided, I think it's nine sheets of paper. So once you enter your username and the default password of CARES1234 for your initial login, you're going to click log in, and CARES1234. If your login is not working, you're going to see invalid username, password combination, and to please try again. And for some reason, so you're going to enter your username and the default password of CARES1234, click on login, and the first step is you're going to get a pop-up that says your first login requires password reset. So you're going to click on update password. Where it's going to bring you eventually to the password reset page. So what you need to do now is you need to enter a new password and confirm that password, keeping in mind that Your password must be between 8 and 12 characters long and contain both letters and numbers. The password is case sensitive and it may contain special characters if you want. Once you do that, you're going to click on Update and you get, I do not want to add that to my LastPass. You get a pop-up that says your password has been successfully changed. Right underneath that, it does say before beginning to use awards, please click here to record your security details, including an email address to be used in the event of future password resets. This is where we're going to record our security details. So we want to click here where it's going to bring us to the security details. Now, I do not have to enter any password information because I've already reset my password, but I do have to select a security question and record an answer to that. So I'm going to select, in what city was your first or favorite job? And then I'm going to type in the answer. And if you see that the work email field is blank, please enter your work email. One of the things that we do upon setting up a user within the database is on the user agreement, there is a space for you to enter your email. And if you've put your email on that line, we then can enter that into the database when we set up your user profile. So once you select your question and you answer it and you enter a work email address if it's not already filled in, you're going to click on Update. And that error message shouldn't be. So let me just delete those. I think it's because I use LastPass, and so usernames and passwords are just filling in for me. So now I'm going to click on Update, and now I'm going to receive a confirmation of what it was that I just did. So it says the password has not been updated, and that's because I didn't change the password from what I selected on the password reset page. Security question, for some reason, is blank, and security answer has not been updated. And my work email address was in there. So this is not what this is supposed to look like, but it does now provide me the opportunity to show you how you can record your security details if you forget to do it when you reset your password for the first time. So the first thing that you want to do upon getting to this page, provided that it worked correctly, is you want to come over to the right-hand side of the navigation bar. Under the user, it's going to be your first initial or first name followed by your last initial, and these are the user settings. And what you want to do as soon as you have updated your password and set your security details is you want to log out of awards. And the reason that you want to do this is because it's really going to it's going to make your password stick. So what you're going to do is you're going to log out, and then you are going to log right back in using your username and the password that you just selected. And now your password If it's going to be a few days before you're able to log in again, you've reset your password, you've logged out, you've logged back in with it, so you know that it works. If you forget to set your security details when you change your password for the first time, or because you have LastPass set up on your computer, things just don't always work right for you, especially when you're doing a training. What you can do at that point is you can again go over to your user settings, which is your first name followed by your last initial, and you can click on password and security from the drop-down menu, which is going to bring you back to that same page where we were before. So I'm going to learn my lesson, and I'm going to remove new password and confirm password. I am going to select my security question. I'm going to select the answer, and I'm going to click on update. Now, the confirmation page, it shows the question that I selected, and it lets me know that I updated the answer to that question. So once this has been completed, if you click on the home icon here on the navigation bar, it's going to bring you back to the awards home screen. So no matter which module you may be working in, anytime you click on home, it's going to bring you back to the home screen. So I want to go over the features located within the navigation bar. The awards icon right here, this works as your back button. Instead of using the jump back feature through the internet, you can always click on the awards icon, and that will jump back a page for you. Next is the search feature. This is where you can enter a client's information and see if they've ever been in a program that you have access to. So you can type in their first and last name, or really any variation of, and click on search. And if that client has ever been in a program within the database and they've agreed to data sharing, and the agency participates in data sharing, this is how we can see that information. So I can see that this client, fake client, now I cannot see their social security number and their date of birth because they must have selected not to share that information. And I can see that they were in the training nightly emergency shelter from December 3rd through December 5th. Now, because this is a program that I do not have access to, whether it's in a different agency or it might be in the agency within I work in. However, I don't work within that program, so I don't have access to it. I cannot, there's no link, I cannot click on it, I cannot see any additional information. This is it, this is all I can see about this client. I'm going to click on the home button, and that's just going to bring me right back to the home screen. The awards does have a calendar feature. If using the calendar within awards is something that you are interested in doing, please let me know, because I can then send you the instructions on how to do this. However, I will let you know that I attended an awards certification training down at Foothold's main office down in New York City. It was spread out over the course of 1 year, and it was 3 times I went down. So it was I think it was over the course of 9 months. It was like every 3 months I went down to the city and I was down there for 3 days. Um, and I was taught about everything and anything that awards has the capability of doing. The calendar feature, we spent half of a day reviewing the calendar feature and all the functionalities within that, and I was still confused. Um, I don't find it entirely helpful. Um, I think if scheduling an appointment for a client takes 7 minutes, it's not worth it for me. But if that is a feature and functionality that you are interested in learning more about, please let me know and I will get you the instructions on how to do that. Next in the navigation bar is the messages module. Anytime you have a new unread message next to the envelope, that number is going to be in red. So just like on your cell phone, next to messages, the number of unread messages will display in red up here. This is an internal email system. This is if you need to send client level information to maybe another user within your agency, you can do that through the messages module within awards. It is a 100% secure way of sending that information because the only people that have access to this database have gone through training and have their own username and their own password that they do not share with anybody else. And you can only see the information for which you are allowed. This is how client level information is required to be transferred between care staff and users. But this is an optional feature that you could even internally within your own agency transfer client level information between users. This is where all help desk tickets are created. So if you're processing an admission and you keep getting an error message, or you're running a report and it's telling you that you have 3 people that are missing their social security number, and you want to know how you can figure out who those 3 people are. Those would be help desk tickets that you would send. To send a help desk ticket when you come into the messages module, you click on this life preserver icon. That is what opens up the help desk ticket. Now you can see that the help desk ticket is monitored by all of the HMIS staff. So there's the full team of us that are monitoring the help desk daily. We do have a 1 business day turnaround for all help desk tickets. However, because there are so many of us that monitor the help desk throughout the day, responses are much quicker than 1 business day. Keep in mind, though, that if you send us a help desk ticket and it's not something that we are able to resolve for you and we have to pass it on to Foothold, they have a 1 business day turnaround. So it could be a day or 2 before we have an answer for you from Foothold, depending on what the issue is. All of the required fields, again, they're marked with an asterisk. So you're going to put in a subject, and then you're going to enter a description of what it is that's happening. We ask that you type a detailed description of your question or problem and record the information on the awards area that you are working with using the options that follow. When reporting a problem, be sure to list any steps taken prior to the problem's occurrence, including any selections made while completing the problematic task and the text of any error messages received. That detail will enable the help desk to replicate your experience as closely as possible and will speed up the investigation process. So what I'm asking is that if you're sending in a help desk ticket because let's say um, you are you're trying to process an admission and every time you get to the household composition page, you're receiving an error message. Okay, well what was your exact click path to get to where you're having that problem? So you're going to tell me I went into intake admission, process, create new application, entered all of the client's data, clicked on process admission, selected whatever option for data sharing, clicked continue, tried to select create new household and enter household start date, but then I'm receiving this error message. How do I fix it? That will allow me to follow that same path that you did and hopefully get to that same problem that you did so I can figure out just what happened and see if it's something that I can resolve for you on my own or if it's something on the back end of awards in general that maybe needs to be sent on to the help desk. So details, details, details right here. If you think that you're giving me too much detail, I promise you you're not. Then you have the option to select the module within awards that you are working. So if this was an intake admission error, you're going to select intake admission. Then you're going to let us know what the impact of this issue is. So is this just you have a question about how a report pulled and you can still work? Is this something's not really working in the progress notes section, but I can still process admissions and discharges. So you can still do most things. Or we're trying to log in and we keep getting, or anytime we click on intake admission, it keeps telling us the page is unavailable. Something like that would be, work has stopped. We can't do anything within this database except send you a message. And then there's data change or question. So I'm asking you, this is just a general question, or I'm asking you to, change one of the elements on a special form that was created for our agency. The reality of the situation is it is a required data element, but the reason it's a required data element is because this is the same type of help desk ticket that we fill out when sending, if we have to send stuff to Foothold, and they use this kind of as like a triaging system because of the mass amounts of help desk tickets they receive. They need to prioritize. At CARES, we don't really have that need to prioritize the help desk tickets. We kind of answer them as they come in. So the reality is you could select any of these options and we're not really going to look at them because we're just going to respond to your message. The same with number of users affected. So is this something that's just happening to you or is it happening to everybody? Again, we're not really going to look at that part of the help desk ticket. If your problem or question is related to specific records or data in awards, please record the details using the fields options that follow. Enter NA if in the consumer name field if you are not working with the records of a specific consumer. When working with reports, please sure to enter the full report date range you used in the data date fields. So these two fields, data dates and consumer name, these are fields that we do look at. So if you've sent me a report that says, I ran this report, it's telling me there's 3 clients that are missing social security number, how do I find it and fix it? If you don't enter the dates that you ran the report, so let's say 10/1/16 to 9/30/17, I'm not going to be able to run that report in the same time frame as you if I don't know what it is. So it's really helpful that you give me that information, because without it, the first thing I'm going to do is send you a response that says, what are the dates that you ran the report for? So we can just skip that step if we have the dates to recreate. Enter, if this is about a specific client, you're going to enter the client's name in this field. If it is not about a specific client, you can just put in an NA. Please identify yourself or the user submitting the problem or question, if not yourself, and let us know what steps you took to gather information prior to contacting the help desk. Note that if you work with more than one program, the program you select below should be the one related to your question or problem. So under the user information, you're going to, the list of users that becomes available for you are the users within your agency. So maybe Sue Palmer can't log in. So she says, sorry about that. Excuse me. So maybe she says, hey, Kelly, can you send a help desk ticket that says Sue can't log in? And I say, okay. So I type in Sue Palmer isn't able to log in, and then I'm going to select Sue's name from the name or login ID instead of mine. Phone number, not a required field. However, again, sometimes help desk tickets are easier to have a conversation about than to go back and forth with 7 different, email threads. So if you enter your phone number into this field, and I look at, I read the help desk ticket and I'm like, oh, I can easily just walk them through how to do this, I will probably pick up the phone and just give you a call. That way I can walk you through it. You can do it while I'm walking you through it, and we can just resolve the issue much quicker. Next, agency. It displays as a drop-down. However, the login that you're using is attached to just one agency. So it defaults to the agency that your login is attached to. And now, like it set up here before, if you work with more than one program, you need to select the program related to your question or problem. So if it's an admission, I'm receiving an error message upon trying to complete an admission, I'm going to select the program that I'm having the issue for. So I'm going to select training homelessness prevention. Last question. If you were able to locate information about were you able to locate information about the problem or question in Award's online help? This is a triaging question, I'm assuming, for Foothold. You have the options to say, yes, I did find the information. No, I didn't. I did not look in online help, or this is a question or just a data change request. say yes, say no, say whatever you want. We never, ever, ever look at the answer to this question. It's our job to supply you with the information. You guys are already doing so much work that it would never be our expectation of you as the user to try to look up the information for yourselves. I'm going to show you where it lives if you ever want to, but that's not the expectation. That's our job at CARES, is to be able to easily relay this information to you. If you have any attachments, screenshots, so screenshots are my favorite, then I can see exactly the same exact error message that you're seeing, or I can see, exactly what the report looks like when you pulled it. If you have any attachments, you can use this paperclip icon up here at the top. And when you click on that, it's going to open up, your desktop, and you can then select the screenshot maybe that you took, and you can pass that on. You can attach it, you can send it to the help desk. Once you've completed the help desk ticket, you'll click send, and your message has been sent. So it has been sent to myself, to Sue, to Allison, to Lisa, to Terry, to Emily, and to Rachel. We're all getting your help desk ticket. So then you'll just click close and wait, go about your business if you're able to, and wait for us to respond. I'm going to go back to the home page, and next on the navigation bar is the reports menu. There is on our website a training video that was provided by Foothold on the new functionality of the reports menu. This is brand new, just came out in January, that they added the reports menu to the navigation bar. So they released a video to go along with that, which we put up on our website for you to view. If you're interested, there will also be some training videos coming out shortly on the different types of reports that are available. So if you click reports, it's going to open up this reports menu. You can, at this point, you're going to select the program that you want to run the report for. And now these are all the different types of reports that are available in awards. It's going to default to bookmarked once you bookmark the reports that you use on a regular basis. If you don't bookmark any reports, it's going to default to show all. It shows 10 per page. So depending on, the name of the report, you may need to scroll a little bit. You do have the option to change it to display 50 per page. If you know the type of report that you're looking for, in the search field right here, you can just type in a keyword and search for that. So, I'm looking for a profile report. So anything that has to do with profile reports is going to display for me. At this point, if it's a report that I pull on a regular basis, if I click on the star next to it, that's automatically going to bookmark that report for me. So I'm just going to click on a couple of these. and I'm going to go back to the home page so that I can get out of the reports menu. And when I click on reports again, now for some reason it's still saying all, however, it's not supposed to do that. But if I click on bookmarked, right here is going to just be a list of all of the different reports that I have, there we go, that I've bookmarked, and I can just easily click on the report, and at this point, if let's say I forgot to select the program that I wanted to run the report for, or I selected the wrong program that I wanted to run the report for, I can easily change that in the program site dropdown, and then I can just click on the report. So I'm going to click on Program Profile Report, and I'm going to click on Continue because I just really quick want to see who is on my current program roster. So I can see that these are the 12 clients that are currently enrolled in the program. And then some basic demographic information is below that. So I'm going to jump back to the home page. As we continue to navigate the navigation bar, the CARES icon serves as the print button. Any and all pages within awards are printable. I'm not sure about the magic behind it, but I know that when printing pages from awards using the print functionality here gives you a better quality printout than using your Control P, especially if you need to print out a message or progress notes. It prints it out clearer. It prints it in terms of like the messages, it prints out the whole message versus just half of the page. So this is how you'll print anything that you want through awards. User settings, password and security, and log out are the only user settings that are currently set up to be functional for users. The reason that there's more settings than what is usable is because, like I said before, Foothold is an online case management provider. So these are options that are not needed for using awards for HMIS purposes. And then there's the help menu. If you are interested in looking through online help, if you click on help, one of the things that I really do like about it is that it opens in a separate tab so you don't lose the page that you are on. So when online help opens, it's going to display with a contents menu to the left so that you can search for what you're looking for alphabetically by content, alphabetically in an index, or you can search for what you're looking for. To the left, it displays the information based on kind of where it's located. So there's all of the features located within the navigation bar, all of the different modules and pages that are located within census, within charts, and within administration, so that you're like, oh, hey, I have a question about discharge. You can click on discharge, and it's going to give you a list of all of the different types of information that they have regarding discharge. So how to process a discharge, a referral out. If there were any videos that Foothold recorded, those they'll have listed right here. If there's any enhancement request forms, those are listed there as well. Enhancement request forms are really forms that are used by CARES that we send to Foothold if we think that changing something within one of the modules would work for everybody. So these enhancement request forms, Foothold does not have the ability to make the changes at the program or agency level. It's kind of an all or nothing. So when we look at the different types of enhancements that are released, we only make those changes if we think they're beneficial to all of our users. So I'm going to click back onto the awards tab. And now I want to review the left-hand menu with you. So the homepage defaults to the census module. Within the census module, the activities that can be completed is intake and admission, discharge, housing, and profile. So intake admission is just what it sounds like. This is where you're going to go to process a client's admission. Discharge, that's where you're going to go to process a client's discharge. Housing, there's two reasons to go into the housing module. Number one, if you're a residential program and you have clients that are moving, kind of switching rooms, you can move clients around between rooms and beds through the housing module, or you can quickly just run a housing report to see which beds are currently available. Within the profile module, that is kind of just what it sounds like. It's the client's profile. That's where the face sheet lives. And when we do the data entry demonstration, you'll see the client face sheet and what it's used for. Next, on the left-hand menu is the chart activities. So think of it as the different types of things that can be recorded within the client's chart. So there's employment information that can be recorded and updated, hospital information, medical information, reception desk information. Reception desk is kind of used for drop-in programs and things like that. Entitlement information, incident reports can be completed. You can take a look at outcomes, and then you can record group services or individual services within the charts chart activities page. Next is administration. When we look at the administration activities, depending on your user level and what your supervisor has indicated you should have access to, your administration's activities page, you may see more buttons or you may see less. Again, it's all dependent on your user level and what your director or supervisor has said you should or should not have access to. So this is kind of set up that if you don't need access to any executive administration functions, this is kind of what the administrative activities looks like. There's an agency file cabinet, which if there's any documents or anything that you want to share between each other, you can upload those to your agency file cabinet. There's operations where You can record information on, if there's any construction being done on any rooms, things like that. Then there's the fiscal program module. And if you click on fiscal program, this is where a lot of the canned reporting lives. So if you want to run an HMIS data quality report because you want to take a look and you want to see how your data quality within your program looks instead of waiting for that monthly report to come out, you can easily do that by going into fiscal program if you have access to it and clicking on HMIS data quality report. I'm going to use the jump back button just to jump back a page. There's also a Rolodex feature where you can keep contact information for other people in there. Then there's Foothold Connect. If you click on Foothold Connect, this is where every month Foothold puts out kind of a newsletter, their new awards features, their tip of the month, and any Foothold Connect events that they have coming up, which are available at no cost to all users. If a Foothold Connect event is coming up that we think is beneficial for our users to attend because it has to do specifically with HMIS, we're going to send that information out to everybody. So if they're interested, they can sign up for that. So you can click on each of these links and it's going to bring you to, their what's new in awards. And these are typically put out around between the 10th and the 15th of every month. Any pertinent information that has to do with HMIS and actually the months of February, March, and April, there's going to be a lot of stuff going on for this month in HMIS that I'm really excited about. We also pass this information on to all of our users through our monthly newsletter. So now I'm going to close all of that. So I'm just going to come back in here really quick and move on to our next slide. So that was how to navigate through the awards database. For more information, visit our website. That's where you can download or print any instructional documents. You can print funding and program specific data collection forms. So we have intake admission packets based on funding source and program type. Same for updates, annual update or annual assessment forms, discharge forms. We've created all of those for you and they live on our website. You can sign up for the email listserv. So if there's any important information that we need to relay to our users immediately, that's the first way that we do that, is by sending out kind of, an email blast to all our users. In addition to that, we do send out a monthly newsletter that we, give everybody updates as to what we've been doing, the previous month, anything that's coming up. If there's going to be any changes, we want to give everybody a heads up. You can also find information from HUD regarding HMIS if you have any, questions or things like that, and you kind of wonder, well, why is this a thing? We've put the links right to the HUD website right on our website for you. So our website is caresny.org, and it's not going to work and let me go there. So what I'm going to do, I apologize for this. At some point, I'm really going to learn how to be good at at PowerPoint. So if you go to our website, caresny.org, and wait for it to load. This is our website. If you click on HMIS, you're brought to our HMIS page where we have our reports, user training information, we have all our program forms and manuals, and we have our policies and procedures. All of that lives right here on our website along with all of our contact information. So under HMIS program forms and manuals, that's where we have all of those intake, admission, and discharge forms for you. Those are under program project administration, and I'm sorry, it's not anymore. It's been moved under HMIS data elements. Okay, so HMIS data elements, and we've broken them down for you based on, first, on funding source. So if you are COC funded, first you can look at the COC program manual if you're interested, but then we have all the different types of intake forms and discharge forms as well. And the same is true if you look at RIE. We have the different type of intake and discharge forms for all of the different RIE programs. And HUD HMIS resources, clicking any of these links, this will take you right to that section on the HUD Exchange. Our user training page, you've already seen it because you've clicked on it to be here. But at the top of it, I do want to show you that that is where the user guide lives. So when you click on it, if you want to print this for your own files or just download it to your computer, this has the step-by-step instructions on how to navigate awards and how to process admissions, process discharges, complete annual assessments. It has the step-by-step instructions on how to do that, but it also contains the information the web address to log into awards, and it has the default password located right in there. So you may want to print this out or keep it, for your records. So that is the end of level 2. At this point, return to our caresny.org training page. Complete the awards navigation quiz, keeping in mind that all users must pass with an 80% or higher. And then you're going to select the data entry demonstration video based on your program's funding source.